bans. Now, if you watched our previous matchup earlier today, I suspect that the operator bans on Villa are going to differ quite wildly from the way that we saw them unfold. Mirage versus DG. And by the way, no spoilers as to the results of that one. Now, we did have a little bit of an interesting defender ban in the previous matchup, and a sledge ban here isn't abnormal, but just like we saw with the Nomad and Zero ban in the very first match, it's not often that sledge ends up being banned out.
Yeah, 2 SAS operators on the attack here. Kaid going to be the first defensive ban. Some different stuff going on here, Parker, but it is Villa. This map does offer you a few different options. Mira is going to be in play. Is Valkyrie the final ban? Okay. I mean, I like these bans. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the Valkyrie's out. Thatcher's out. The Sledge and the Kaid, just a little bit of a sidestep from the norm.
Valkyrie's ban rate has just continuing to spike upwards and upwards.
Yeah, what is it? Like 85, 86 right now? Let me check.
She is the most banned operator as of today. Her ban rate is 64%. And when she's not banned, she's at 15%.
There it is.
Which is 79% presence, which is actually only a single point behind Jaeger, who has an 80% presence. And would you believe this? Jaeger has not been banned in the NA League yet.
Yeah, so that recoil nerf really coming in strong, Parker. It's almost as if the usefulness of Jaeger is nothing to do with the recoil of his gun. Who'd have thunk?
Well, Michael was targeted all towards all the Jaeger mains in ranked, and if you take,
you mean those
account
Jaeger mains
delta,
that were having a lower win delta than their pick percent?
Crutch.
Overpowered weapon.
Got something caught in my throat there.
No, but no, actually, I forgot to say the /S there. I don't know if I worked that into my. I don't know if it was obvious or not. Some people can't pick up on it, so.
Michael, it feels like it's been ages since you and I casted a Villa match, so this one will be exciting, and especially given that it's the number 2 and the number 3 ranked teams. So this one's got a lot on the lines for those of you that didn't watch the analyst desk. If the Soniqs win in regulation, then they go to the major. If TSM wins in overtime or regulation, they go to the major. If the Soniqs win in overtime, taking 2 points to TSM's 1 point, then nothing immediately changes, which is chaotic, and I'm Team Chaos all the way. So we'll see. Very first defense, by the way, for TSM is going to be upstairs in Trophy Statuary, a bomb site that is not picked as often as it used to be. The kitchen bomb site down below has taken its place for a lot of teams, so this will be interesting to see TSM start off here.
Fun facts with Jesse J. Chick. TSM have a sledge pick rate of 100% this stage, and Soniqs have a sledge pick rate of 7%, so you can see why the Soniqs would ban the sledge. Thank you very much, Jesse, for that fun fact of the day. And that really does shed a little bit of light. Now, so far through this round, nothing too crazy happening, but that hack drone is going to be great for TSM. Achieve will reposition that to give information, likely top red, which will make the late red push for Rexon that much more difficult. Down goes Kansan to the frost mat. Oh no. Wah, wah. Here comes Merc looking for the kill. He's missed his shots though. He might think the opportunity is managed to slip by, but he just, yeah, he missed. Bolo will be pushing up into bathroom. He might get it, but nothing so far.
Kansan will need to be retrieved at some point. I don't know if they'll be able to get it. There's Bolo, an instinctive pre-fire. He's going to get out of there. Well, it was a little bit cheeky on his end, but he gets it and immediately punished by Yeti, who takes up ground in the same spot where he had seen his teammate die, and that's bathroom being cleared out. Merc could have contested that, but instead will stay down below shooting a drone. Unsure if it spotted him. If not, they'll know that the drone's been taken out, but they don't know much besides that. Both teams into a 4v4 now with just a minute left to go in this very first round, and they're going to have to deal with the fact that, well, the wall isn't going to open up so easily.
Slow going here for both teams, and TSM's the one better for it. There goes the shield. No, it's caught by the ADS, and what a frag for Geo. He only gets one, though, as it's a double entry for the Soniqs into Statuary. 3-3, though. Still plenty of denial here for TSM. It's Chief from below with the C4, but he misses, and Super will get the plant down as Yeti covers with 2 big kills. Grixer getting achieved, who tried to come up red, but it didn't even matter at that point. The 3v1 was slotted for the Sonics, and they'll take that first round.
Love the way that the Sonics swung onto that shield of where Geo is playing. Rexon essentially sacrificed himself for the team, and then everybody else went in to try and avenge him, and hey, it worked out quite well. After they took control of that wall, they posted up one player of Yeti inside of the master bedroom watching the opening, and then they smoked off the cross from over towards Trophy, which meant that the only ways in would be through a doorway that Yeti was watching or up the main stairs, possibly over by 90, but that's a much longer route for TSM to run. So they were kind of boxed in. They didn't really have any other recourse. They had to go through the openings that had been created by the Sonics. Excellent work in the post-plant, and this Sonics team, one of their biggest successes this stage, I would say, is expanding their map pool. This was a team that could really only play, or really only wanted to play, Clubhouse and Oregon. The fact that they have diversified and have now shown that Consulate is a great map for them, and well, I mean, it's too early to say that Villa is as well, but obviously they were very well practiced on that take, and they played around it perfectly. That's why they take the first round, and now on round number 2, they'll go over to Aviator and Games, the other upstairs bomb site.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
TSM will, by the way, not Sonics. I realized that my transition missed the team, so I figured I should clarify. TSM is defend. I don't know if you... I don't know if you can see that.
Thank you for cleaning that up.
You see that on the screen? I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't until you pointed it out.
Okay, well...
Now I know.
Now you know?
Now everyone knows.
The people who don't have a monitor or don't have a phone?
This is a radio broadcast after all. If you're unaware, the Sonics are taking downstairs in art to try and make sure there's no vertical play from below on TSM's side. Pretty successful so far. There's a lot to drone out, a lot of nooks and crannies, a lot of corners for the Sonics to be sure are clear before they start this push. The smoke to cover the Selmas, but first one doesn't work. Second one will go out, and that one won't work either. No, okay, it does, but only the lower one? Something must have destroyed the upper one. Could have been the Evil Eye in Study above the drop. Whatever the case be, small hole made in the game's wall. That's important.
Well, you've already seen some openings that have been created here, and there you go. Yeah, you're probably right. It was the Evil Eye that likely did that. I mean, we can only speculate. Good thing that there's replays to touch back on. That entry, by the way, down on Art means that Merc would have been the first one to fall if Sonics had decided to take that staircase, but they aren't doing that, at least for the moment. That's half the round burned as we'd opened up some of the wall, and there hasn't really been a ton other than that. From below, Rexon's going to try to take care of one of those pesky Evil Eyes. We'll see if the rest of his team are able to do some work on the actual floor of the site. As long as he's down there, though, he's going to have to attract the attention of somebody on TSM. If he doesn't, it'll be to their peril, because Rexon can always strike on flank. And we see time and time again how crucial flank watch is for the attackers and, frankly, for the defenders. Merc has now shifted his spot, and Achieved has moved over towards 90 as Super takes some damage and sets us up for the final minute of the second round.
There's the first pick. It's Bolo yet again. This time, no one on a frost mat, though, and once again, Bolo is traded almost immediately. So, Sonics not losing any momentum, only losing Rexon, which is technically their top player overall for the stage. They are going to start opening things up as well in the site, and they're slated to execute into Aviator. Not going to be the easy thing to do, though, with still denial in the pockets of TSM and 4 players still up on both sides.
The Sonics have 30 seconds to be able to pull this one off. As they're scattered throughout the map, they'll have to come together, and the power of friendship and family can propel them forwards. Grixer might be the first one to find somebody, and he does, but he misses out on an opportunity onto Achieved as Yeti takes some damage. Achieved will swing, he loses it out, and Sonics are finding the kill feed quite easily, leaving Geo and Chala. Chala has something to say about that, though, and he's going to answer back. His back exposed to a position as he tosses out a smoke, and there's Yeti on the flank. Geo will now need to be the one to survive, and he will! He guns them down as they try to get the diffuser, and there's nobody to stop him. It's going to go towards TSM in round number 2, and we'll tie it up at 1 apiece.
Big save for Geo there. Massive. I was actually about to start critiquing Geo because the reason why that second salvo detonated is that the first Evil Eye could not see the second salvo due to the couch, but the second Evil Eye could see it from in sight. I was about to say, oh, that hard destruction could have been avoided in its entirety. But it ended up not mattering. Well done to Geo. Good clutch there. The lack of bar presence was due to the hard destruction, though, and that was crippling for TSM's hold in games. It made it really difficult for them to deny the push in through the west hallway. Or, wait, no, that's the north hallway. Pardon me. Long hallway, whatever you want to call it. And following that difficulty, Soniqs applied the necessary pressure to allow for a push in through Aviator. The only problem is they had not accounted for Geo, who was playing in Vault and rotated into Aviator to deny that plant and hold out in the dying seconds. We've seen a lot of rounds fall to the defenders recently in the NAL as a result of that timer, and that's just another one to add to the tally.
Well, technical timeout here as at least what's showing right now, and will almost certainly be the site that we go to, as the timer is now off and we are back into the action. We'll await an admin call as TSM were unsuccessful upstairs on Trophy Statuary, and the one thing that we always mention when that site pops up is, well, it's fallen out of favor, and we see a lot of dining and kitchen down on that first floor, where teams will still defend the components of Trophy Statuary, even though it doesn't happen to be the actual bomb site. All that to be said, because TSM is going to go downstairs to kitchen, so they'll hold this one off, and they've got plenty of stopping power when it comes to an upstairs take. Some teams will fall back very early. They'll concede the master bedroom, they'll concede bathroom, and they'll concede statuary. They'll play down below with nitro cells in hand, and if you take a glance to the right side of your screen, you'll see that there are 3 C4s on TSM's side of things, with a pulse in play as well. So those will be very helpful and handy for stopping any possible plants. Additionally, if those C4s are not intended to destroy you from below, you can play somewhat safely inside of kitchen and lob one over towards dining where the A-bomb is and stop a plant, or where Chala is positioned over by laundry as well, providing you have good coverage from the defense. So lots of opportunities there for TSM to shut things down if the Soniqs are able to get into the building, but of course that relies on TSM surviving up until that point.
And obviously, Pulse is not banned, unlike our last match, and we're going to see him and his cardiac sensor play a huge role in this round, assuming the Soniqs do go for a vertical take. No guarantee of that, by the way. We've seen a lot of teams execute through library when confronted with a kitchen defense. That would be a very direct horizontal. We'll see what the Soniqs decide. Looks like they're droning out upstairs just to see what's going on before they make any decision. The IQ will play a role here as well for the Soniqs. Good to catch those cardiac sensors and possibly get a pick through the floor before Bolo even knows that there's an IQ on the board.
It's the 3rd round in a row that an IQ has been brought to, so I don't know if they can sense it being 6th picked onto or off of. What would you like to say?
They probably know. I was just being like, I don't know, theoretical.
It's actually a great tweet, by the way, by Call of Duty commentator Maven the other day, talking about how there are a lot of times where he'll ask a question to his color commentator, which you are, by the way. You're the color commentator, which means that you're the expert.
Am I?
You're not just the color commentator, Michael. You're the color commentator of the year. Chief gets the very first kill, by the way, and we can revisit this tangent next time around. As he takes out Rexon, Rexon has not been particularly strong in the opening plays for the Soniqs, and that is a bummer. When you are the top-rated player in the league, going 0-3 on these entries, even if you're being traded out immediately, and he still has 2 assists to his name, so he's done some damage through those 2 rounds. It's not exactly the result that you want, and against a team like TSM, giving them the upper hand in terms of fragging potential is not a great idea, because Merc, Bolo, and Achieved can all come together and do a lot of damage, as can Chala. Bolo dances around a grenade, though, and he'll engage with the UMP and does absolutely no damage, but takes a ton of it himself, so he thinks better than re-engaging, and now he will back off. Soniqs have laundry, but they have to be very wary of the fact the hatch is open above, which is where Merc is currently sitting.
Yeah, I mean, the wall's going to get opened up, though, so that's step number 1 for the Soniqs done. It did cost them a body, but congratulations, progress. Oh, and step number 2 is the kitchen pantry wall is open as well. Lots of lines into the site for the Soniqs, and they haven't even needed to use the vertical too much, or at all, really.
Not really one bit. 30 seconds left, and there's still 9 players alive here in the server, so things are about to get fairly messy. And Geo's hoping to prey upon this. He's sitting just over by that memorial vault if he wants to go on in, and he outduels Grixer. Still there, he can hop into that bike room if he wants, but he's going to keep his eye on a potential entry from another point. Waiting and listening to hear if anybody can enter on in, but all of the Soniqs dominoes are falling, and it's going to leave Kansan now into a 1v5 with just a tiny portion of HP. He can't do anything against Merc, and TSM take round number 3 flawlessly.
The patience for TSM, abundant in that round. Really, especially impressive considering how well the Sonics executed there. It was a horizontal take, though not one from library. They instead placed most of their focus on the laundry room and pantry, which is a little... I mean, it's something we've seen before. It's not necessarily rare. It's just, not your go-to for most teams in this current meta. I like what we saw from the Sonics. I like the open of the walls, like how methodically they got that done. They didn't expose themselves to the vertical play from the Pulse. They were thoughtful in all of their positioning and play. But the patience from TSM was the real story there, and the fact that they left themselves rotations open on site. That makes a huge difference when retaking, and that's exactly what we saw here for TSM. They know that they don't have to be directly on site because they've got the positions to retake later because they're not being pressured from the library side. There's no reason to, stress if you've got those rotations open. TSM used that. Well played.
One thing I will say from the Sonics through the 3 rounds that precede this one is that it looks like Rexon is also entering alone. Now, I don't know if this is a deliberate choice or not, but the Sonics entry, from what I can recall, tends to be a little bit better supported. I don't know if the idea is to let Richie, aka Rexon, do Richie things or not, or if he's just entering based off of intel that they have or getting drawn in by somebody else, but there's nobody really there to assist. If Rexon starts to wake up, that could very easily shift this game as well. Because right now, TSM has the opening pick every single time, even if the first 2 rounds were Bolo capitalizing off of a Frost mat kill, or down rather, that was technically achieved by Chala. Can I get back to my point, by the way?
No, you may not.
Got it.
So... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you were talking about that, sometimes we ask hypothetical questions that we know the answers to, and sometimes I will ask you a pretty basic question that I, of course, know the answer to, but it is done to elicit a conversation point and to bring up a topic that the viewers may not think about. And a lot of times we'll ask rhetorical questions, as you did with the flank watch before, and that thread that was created by Maven was excellent, because basically he said a lot of people will kind of dunk on casters or commentators and be like, well, how come you don't know the answer to that question? Well, we do. We're just asking it to try and generate a conversation so that, because viewers at home might not often know the answer to that question. So
it's the same thing for me. If I ever ask Parker a question, it's usually just like, something to talk about. And something, another thing is it is weird to only be the guy who's giving answers. If you're never actually giving any kind of, lenience to your co-commentator, like a little bit of room to breathe on any conversation, then you're both just trying to get the answers out before there's any questions asked. It's awkward.
You mentioned room to breathe, and that's a good turn of phrase here to kind of describe what both of these teams are doing to each other. We were able to fill that time now through 90 seconds. That's half of the round being eclipsed, and pretty much nothing serious has happened. Sonics don't really have any more map control than they did 40 seconds ago. TSM seems to understand where they're going to be entering from, but why does I say that? Merc takes down Kansan. The IQ, well, you can't spot that one coming, can ya? Merc's going to create an avenue back towards the bomb sites, which, by the way, are library and living room. So through these 4 rounds, TSM has now visited all 4 of the sites, Michael, on Villa.
And you can see that Rexon has taken up the role that Kansan is left open, cutting off rotation, but no one's there anymore. TSM is aware of the pressure that Sonics are bringing from the kitchen side, and they are set up to defend against it. Once again, the clock is going to be a major factor as we hit the last 35 seconds for this round. Sonics still have yet to gain any foothold on the site.
Achieved is just positioned up on the stairs. Merc gets the kill onto Rexon, but Achieved could have very easily gotten an assist right there. He knows there's another one, and he'll miss the Yana. Merc taken down, and immediately the Sonics answer with 2 of their own. With 20 seconds left to go, they're staggered for utility. Super falls. That's troubling, but Yeti's there to avenge his teammate. Traded out again immediately, so Grixer will need to win a 1v2. Limited intel, and Chala doing Chala things. It's going to give TSM the round 3 straight rounds now for TSM off the backs of 4 rounds where they've got the opening pick. The Sonics, well, you're starting to fall behind a little bit too much in this map.
Chala's performance with the 1.5 on Frost cannot be understated in its influence. And I've seen this not only in this map, but in many maps before through this stage. You put Chala on Frost and you give him that 1.5 and he really runs away with it. He's the anchoring force for TSM as of late, and he saved that round for his team with 2 very crucial kills when they needed them most, especially after the Sonics managed to answer those early frags so quickly. It almost makes you think, Parker, that Ubisoft's removal of the 1.5 on that Frost SMG is a direct counter to Chala's play as of late. That's coming with the next update, right?
I'm not actually certain if it's out just yet. I don't know what the timing of these developments are. I just make the checkmark tweets and then bathe in the impressions.
I think it was on like the test server or something like that. That's what happened.
Ubisoft actually announced today 2 big things. Number one, they'll be doing an AMA. The devs for Rainbow Six Siege will be doing an AMA, aka an Ask Me Anything over on the Rainbow Six subreddit. So for all those of you who are brave enough to dare enter and potentially ask questions, feel free to do just that. Try to remain civil.
I was about to say, boy, I hope that's not toxic.
The devs just walking in there with Kevlar on. Just, we're ready.
They've got the battle helmet on, the full covered, like,
everybody's in like Operation Outbreak hazmat cosplay.
They're gonna need to bring the Kokona stations to protect them. They healed up in the middle of the
Rainbow
AMA.
Six can we just throw in there? But
they'll have reserves ready too. One of the devs is gonna be answering questions for 5 minutes, and then they'll be rotated out. That's how I imagine it going.
No, but do try to remain civil, and if you want to participate, please do so, as obviously the devs are going out of their way to answer community questions here now, and they can be something as simple as balancing or not. You can ask when Bolo plays next, actually. The answer to that question is, well, right now, actually. So, we're a minute into this round, and it's been a fairly slow affair for both of these teams. Villa can go either way. We can see teams go for a breakneck pace, or we can see them be a little bit more methodical on their clear. The Sonics have not found success on the entry the way that they want. They have fallen behind all too often, and they've kept it close, but they've had some troubles, and here we go. Even more than that, and another opening duel. Boy, oh boy, that's a bad one.
Okay, so a lot going on there. Use of the smoke to try and cover the Selmas, followed up by an impact, which destroyed the Selma anyway. They even tried to fake out with smoke for a little bit. And then, once Merc realizes where the Selmas are being thrown from, he peeks into it. And now, you don't have your hard breacher. Huge kill for Merc. Gigabrain plays from TSM, and now the Sonics have to recover and completely revise their game plan. But they're going to be revising it to Master Take in all likelihood, and that's where Bolo sits in wait, still on his roam along with Achieved.
The Chief's position is going to be given away as he manages to take out the Ana clone. A little bit too of a premature C4 tossed out by him, and he loses his explosive component. 1 minute remaining, and Rexon, who has not been particularly good on these opening duels, well, he's not in the opening duel position here right now, but an 0-4, he's going to need to start racking up some kills. Chala will toss out a smoke, and what's going to start to do damage to Rexon, who's on his drone, gets off, but loses 50% of his HP in the process. At least he knows that there's a smoke semi nearby. Grixer's attention is directed over towards the Goyo shield that's positioned inside of Trophy. Bolo's still playing off of that. Shield is still upright, by the way, and that gas tank was exposed and could have very easily been shot, but it won't. It allows Bolo to persist. Kansan will now try to do exactly what Yeti did earlier on, except with less hard destruction. TSM dominating the kill feed. Diffuser will be retrieved by Kansan, and it's him and Grixer against the world. TSM already have a flawless round. They're not going to grab a second as Grixer prevents that. But boy, oh boy, Kansan, you've got an awful lot to do. Bolo will find him, and that's the round for TSM. 4 in a row. They take the first half, no matter what happens next, and the Sonics will call a timeout.
All right, tactical here for the Sonics, and TSM is also calling a sound bug, so hopefully that gets fixed in the process. Super. Super. Big rounds from TSM. I briefly want to touch on what I think is going on in the overarching psyche of the Sonics, because the word I'm seeing here displayed by all Sonics players is trepidation. I'm seeing a lot of trepidation, Parker. Most notably with that player in Wolf or Boar, or whichever you want to call it. There's a bust of both in that room. Grixer entering in from that window, sees Bolo and Trophy, shield exposed to him, as you mentioned, Parker. Excellent observation, because that really could have just been a explosion right next to Bolo. Y'all know how Screen Shake works. Bolo's not going to win that fight, and then you get your kill on the roamer, and you start to bring your team back into what is pretty much a unwinnable round. But the trepidation kicks in. Grixer sees that opportunity and runs away from it, hoping to try and reset. But at that point, I mean, the round's almost over. There's not a lot of time left for you to clutch up there. You need to take the opportunities as you're presented with them.
I mean, that whole round really fell apart when Yeti was doomed. I mean, not many teams double up on hard breach on a map like Villa. Sonics will obviously run 2 hard breachers on certain maps. Clubhouse, we see it quite often for them. But here on Villa, if you lose Yeti early, you're in trouble. Especially on a map like Aviator Games. Especially when the bomb site itself, not just Aviator Games, but the bomb site is set up in such a way that you can't take study without some serious effort. 2 of those walls that usually are reinforced are shot open. There's an Evil Eye cam in there that we saw. And they've got impacts ready to stop any hard destruction that goes on. You're basically walking into your death, so then you're going to have to go through 90. You're going to have to try to take control of Master and then move from there. But TSM very wisely, after they picked off Yeti, they kept Achieved in that position to help Bolo. In fact, it looked like Achieved moved over to more aggressively hold Master and shut the Sonics out from getting that part of the map.
Well, this is the Sonics' last chance to win an attacking round. And I've liked their setup so far, but their actual presence has been absolutely toothless, weak. By the way, if you want, you can get their skin in the Ubisoft store directly in the shop. Actually, there's an esports tab, pretty easy to spot it. And if you want to support the Sonics, you could do so directly by getting their skin. Supports the org, supports the players. It's a great way to show your colors and support your team. And they're going to need that support because so far, well, they just haven't had a lot of luck, Parker.
No, I mean, this must be a point of frustration for Sonics, and oh my. After you take your timeout, that's not how you want to start off a round. Rexon is 0-6 at the moment. He has not been able to win a single duel, and worse yet for the Sonics. And it's really hard for us to tell you how impactful this is. The top-rated player with the best stats in North America is currently going 0-6. His team desperately needs him to be able to step up into the fold because right now he is ice cold. He's getting shut down by TSM at every point in the round. And a lot of times, losing somebody like Rexon, not just the opening pick, but giving up somebody like Rexon early on is oftentimes enough to doom the round for your team. And so far, as you look at the score at the top, it hasn't been any bit successful for the Sonics.
And you look at this, I mean, you see Kansan on his sensor. He knew that Gio was on that staircase for a good long time. So imagine if Rexon was there to assist him and actually follow up on the information and get the kill. But that's not the case. Gio got the kill too early. There's no one to assist Kansan. Meanwhile, the rest of the Sonics over by Kitchen trying to make an entry downstairs. And they've had some success, I guess. They haven't died yet. Super rotating over to Library. You can see that the Sonics have learned from the last time they attacked Kitchen, and they're going to apply more Library pressure to deny the rotations and make the angles that are being opened up in sight more relevant.
How much of this is Sonics just not having their footing on entry versus TSM being able to stifle those points of entry?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, Parker. TSM has been definitely very aggro with the roam, and it's working very well for them. And you see moments like that. You know that the hard breach is coming up, and why are you peeking into that, Yeti? I'm a little bit curious.
Well, Super could be the next one to fall in that spot as Sonics find themselves trailing by 2 players, and they'll look to enter over by Bike. And this is a Kitchen defense, by the way, but nobody sees Merc. He dispatches cans, and he wants Grixor as well, but he's not lucky enough. So he'll wait and see if they can reposition. Super holds the diffuser, but if he goes to plant it, Grixor will be the only one to watch him. And Super enters over by Art. He's miles away from his teammate. And he'll do his best. No kills for Super either, as he and Rexon have not had any real success, but Super will break it. He wins the heads-up gun duel against Merc. He could potentially enter through Bike here, now head over towards Memorial, and then continue onwards. There's a drone that'll spot him, though, and that was Merc's drone, so even though he's dead, he's still putting in some good work. Grixor with 1, so things tighten up, and that's Bolo down now as well. But Chala's in the corner. That's a rad angle if I've ever seen one. Grixor's got too many angles to watch, and he can't look at them all. 5 rounds in a row for TSM as the first half goes in the books, and the Sonics have their work cut out for them as they go on to defense.
All right, I want to use this opportunity to answer your question, Parker, because I don't feel like I got an adequate time there. A little bit directly, because it plays into that round. So there's a lot of things going on here. There's, number one, pretty poor drone work from the Sonics. And they're getting their drones routinely hacked as well by TSM, right? That's a problem. Merc is using his Mozzie super well. Number two, because of the lack of drone work, you've got a lot of gaps in the information being gathered by Soniqs, not only in terms of the roamers, but also in terms of the positioning of the anchors, which is allowing TSM to get very aggressive, and they're exploiting that to great effect. And that's why you get a 5-1 scoreline off of the first half. It's just the information game, the lockup, the flank watch for Soniqs is not great, and TSM are making it not be great by hunting those drones, hunting those drone clearers, and denying drone work elsewhere.
Well, now teams switching sides, and I mean, let's just simply look at the fact that Villa historically favors the defenders by quite a bit. 5-1 maybe not so lopsided as of late, but still obviously favoring the defenders just a little bit. TSM banned out the Thatcher, so with Soniqs banning the Sledge, we'll see how TSM can recover. As Jesse had noted earlier on when we saw that operator ban come out, TSM has a 100% pick rate of Sledge. He is a very, very highly used operator. In fact, he has the second highest pick rate of all the attackers right now, and the third highest influence rate. Sledge, prior to today, had never been banned in the NA League, and he had a 70% pick rate. The only other operator with a higher pick rate on attack was Zofia with an 81%. So we'll see how TSM is able to recover from that. Like I said, Soniqs do have their work cut out for them, but if there's one thing working in their favor, they will be on defense, which is traditionally the favored side here on Villa.
Typical setup. What?
I was going to say, though, I don't know if you've seen it, but the defensive win rate overall for Villa right now is actually at 45%. So this is an attacker-favored map at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a weird turn of events, and we've seen this before. Ooh, wow, that's about the maximum range for that drone. I honestly didn't think it would have hit. Good job there to TSM, Bolo in particular, who was the one piloting the drone, and now the Soniqs are confused. How do they defend this? They're losing ground and study as Merc has worked his way in, and oh, the shotgun reaction there from Kansan will shut down Merc. I guess that's why you use your clone before you enter yourself, Parker.
I was confused because the moment we switched to him, I was like, that's not his clone. That's just really him. He's just going in without the clone. Oh, all right. Well, that is a gamble and a half. Up until this point, by the way, TSM was 6 for 6 on opening duels. They've just forfeited it, and the Soniqs find themselves with the upper hand for the first time at the start of a round.
Big kill, to be sure. And on to Merc, who's one of the top performers. Bolo will get Rexen, but the trades are good for Soniqs, and they still hold top main control as Super gets his second. Chala, great reactions there, holding the angle and ready for it. Doesn't see Yeti, though, who is the better in that heads up. Just Geo now as he tries to entry on main, and I'm sorry, that's not going to happen with the shield in play. Yeti slaps him down, and we're going to see the Soniqs take their first defense.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it. How do you control those stairs when you lost the Goyo shield and you lost all of the denial that could come in with it as well? Well, evidently, you allowed TSM to make some puzzling decisions, and as much as I don't want to not give credit to the Soniqs there, I will say that TSM entering on their own with very minimal aid was not ideal, especially for a team like TSM that tends to thrive when they work together. A very puzzling decision by Merc to just rush into Aviator without any intel. And he's looking one way, didn't see the shotgun that was playing by the vault. And then the rest of TSM entering down below. Solo, yet again, trades coming out from the Soniqs. Once they had that opening pick, they could kind of snowball from that point forward, and it worked out for the Soniqs as they just needed to stand pat, and after losing that shield, there really wasn't that much work to be done for them. You saw the Jaeger scamper off from the top of the stairs. Rexen sought shelter elsewhere, and you left Yeti in that position to play up top where Super was as well, as they traded out back and forth, so... All that said, and ultimately a very chaotic round, and one of the faster-paced rounds that we've seen thus far. It gives Soniqs hope. They took their time out 2 rounds ago. TSM is still so close to putting this one away. And need I remind you that if TSM wins in either regulation or overtime, they become the second team in North America to qualify for the Mexico Major, joining Space Station, who qualified a couple play days ago. So we'll see if TSM are capable of that. If overtime happens, whether Soniqs win or not, neither of these teams clinch their spot. It is the Chaos timeline, and if you're cheering for Chaos, that's the result you want.
So, I always like to bring this up when the opportunity presents itself, though it's pretty rare. When you have a top performer like Rexon doing absolutely nothing in terms of kills, that just means that your team has yet to reach its full potential. So, if it be the case that Rexon starts popping off, if it be the case that he starts picking up kills, if he drops his donut, picks up a breadstick, you know, it will change the entire flow of this round. It does. It's 5-2 right now. Yeah, TSM's in the driver's seat. Yeah, this is an attacker-favored map for the NAL through this stage. Yeah, but if Rexon starts getting kills, the fact that the Sonics confidently won that last round, it really does say that we could bring this a lot closer, Parker, possibly even to overtime.
Yeah, and I mean, this could be one of those things where the defenders just have such a strong hold on this map that it made TSM look like $1 million, and now it's going to look like, it's going to make the Sonics look like that as well, because a lot of those defenses from TSM, as you pointed out, were not necessarily TSM's strength, but more so a lack of coordination from the Sonics. We could see the same thing happen now with TSM on attack, but only time will tell. Here's the first Rotero drone that's droned out from Bolo, and it's shot by Rexon, who's still yet to get a kill. He is the only player in the lobby that hasn't been successful in a gun duel just yet. At some point, with how good Rexon is, that's gotta break. And if the Sonics are going to be able to catch up, like I've said many, many times, he's got to be a major part of it, but not in that engagement. Again, Rexon dies early. He's got too many angles to cover. He looks the wrong way. Bolo nails his shots. And almost a second for Bolo now as well.
Yeah, Kansan just barely getting away from that. You saw how quickly Kansan reacted after he missed the first shot. He's like, oh, no, I'm out of there. Yeti will get Geo with the C4 from below, I believe. Good C4 to start things off on the site pressure. Now we're back to an even man count. It's time 4-4. Top control is all right for TSM. They've got top red, but they don't have anything by master right now. And that's actually going to alleviate pressure for Sonics. They can solely focus on this top red pressure now.
And then there's another one of those Flores drones going off. Yeti sees an exposed arm as the nade gets thrown out, but he doesn't do much with it. Oh no! Yeti now able to take down Merc. Sonics finding their kills, and all of them are theirs. It was a good start and a great try for TSM, but nobody seems to be watching that flank, and TSM wanders into their demise. The Sonics take their second round in a row and are now really close to being able to tie this one up.
Really puzzling strategy there, Parker. Usually top red control is coupled with a master take, or at least master pressure, so that you're working a crossfire instead of just trying to shove your face into a bottleneck, which is what we just saw TSM do. Two bottlenecks, in fact. The boar or wolf door into trophy, and the landing door straight into statuary. Neither of those are going to be easy to push. The statuary one usually is your play because you've got someone in Master, or at least outside of Master, so you don't have to deal with a defender in Master. Not so in that round. TSM, a little bit too linear on their take. I mean, it's a basic critique, Parker, but it's one that's valid nonetheless.
You know what is it with these teams having so much difficulty coordinating together, and I don't even mean that in a patronizing way. I mean, I know some people will take umbrage with the fact that I don't play at this level, but all too often, we're seeing these attacking teams play in isolated ways, not working together effectively. The Sonics, actually, with the best team coordination that I think we've seen on attack thus far, was all the way back in round number 1, which, funny enough, was the only round that the attackers have successfully won. And it was when the Sonics triple swung on the shield that Geo was playing by triple panel inside a statuary. They traded out successfully, they cut off the cross, they got the diffuser down, and then they perfectly held the post plant. Since then, every single round, the next 7 rounds, have all seemingly been characterized by attackers playing on their own, either droning themselves in or not being particularly close to their teammates, trying to engage in 1v1s all on their own, and the defenders seem to win it out almost every single time.
Never seen that one before. Must be a Rotero drone spectator bug or something. Looks like Bolo's at the cut. And the clear is top floor. So basically what's happening here is Bolo is cutting off the rotation through that boar window. And these Sonics defenders are going to have to rotate through Astro Stairs. That's their only real choice. Or through the drops, or by vaulting over the railing. That's as the rest of TSM attempts to clear from upstairs. All 3 ADSs on the shield. And boom, they're gone. ADS clear used. The burn, the stuns from Achieved. And the follow-up with the nades from a Merc. It took all 5. But TSM got the job done.
And that pushes Rexon off of Astro's stairs. The wild card for the Sonics is going to be Grixer's position, currently in the basement, by the way. He's all the way down on the bottom floor. He's just lurking about, and not a lot of teams will drone the basement, especially if they're not particularly worried. If there's no Pulse or Vigil on the board, or even a Cav, if she does come out, a lot of teams don't necessarily take that level of care to ensure that they've got every part of the map under their control.
It's expensive on Villa.
It absolutely is. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot to do, and it's often just better to let it lie and have someone on that flank watch when you go for the execute. In this case, it's going to be those Yokais that'll be the major problem for TSM if they don't clear them out. And oh, look at this. Yokai being used to drone Kansan up into Astro. He tries to make a play, but the information is, hey, there's a flank watch and there is a air jab. Better to just let it lie.
And that flank drone there, they'll double up on it. I don't know if Kansan's going to be able to get the air jab or not. He might be able to get the drone as he picks away, but it's a tough angle, and he hits the air jab. That is not great for Kansan. Can he get out of there quickly? No, he cannot. TSM hits their marks. Opening duels breaking in their way. First blood as Merc and Chala find the scoreboard. Yeti is next to fall, and TSM in a 5v2. This looks like match point is brewing. Could it be a flawless one? And yes, it will be! Rexon gets dragged down, and TSM had some stumbles, but they find their footing on that round, and they're on match point.
I don't know, Parker. Greed for a drone? What? I mean, you know the air jab's there. It was called out. It was marked. We saw it marked. So what? I mean, that's all we saw, by the way. But what is clear as day is that TSM, they set themselves up very well through that round. They got the jabs on the flank watch. They're opening up from above. They're applying pressure where it's necessary. They efficiently and effectively clear out the top floor without losing any bodies. A lot of good stuff there from TSM. So don't let the puzzling play by Astro Stairs overshadow that. But I still have a lot of question marks there, Parker.
This has been an interesting one, and you know what? I'm going to enjoy all of the VOD reviews that have been getting done lately for these matchups. Kudos to somebody who stepped in, by the way, while I was away. Skies popped in to be on the NAL desk. I thought he did a terrific job. He's been doing an awful lot of VOD review recently, and I think it's extremely enlightening for people who play at this level. You know, there's a number of pros who've done it. Reaper used to do it. I know King George, for all the words I have to say about that man. He's done it as well. Oh, I always found his analysis was a little short. But the amount of people who
George.
The amount of professionals who do VOD review, by the way, is obviously, this is shoulder content that helps out an awful lot, and it'll be interesting to see how they break this down, because there is a lot that we miss in the cut and thrust, just simply with how complex this game is, the amount of things that happen off screen, and the spectator tools, which are in many ways limited with how complex the game can be. So all that said, there are some questions here, obviously, but TSM sit on match point. If they prevail here, Michael, they punch their ticket to Mexico. They will be just the second North American team to do that, as Space Station did that a couple plays ago, as we talked about earlier.
It'll be a big win for TSM, that's for sure. Only need these next 2 minutes to make it happen. Going for a master clear and a kitchen clear. It's a double north over. They're stacked up, ready to execute. They know they've got to deal with Yeti on these red stairs. That hole opened up there by a cheat is going to make it a little bit easier, because it limits where Yeti can rotate to, which means they know where he can be. Victory on 90 is going to be a major problem for TSM should they actually attempt to clear out that red staircase.
Oh, using some of the soft destruction from below. They're going to try to do that. They capitalize off of it. Bolo has been such an unstoppable force on the entry. His stats are incredible. Rexon finds his very first kill of the match.
Hey!
And it comes at a pretty good time, taking Merc out of the fray. Grixer now playing on 90. He's ready to tackle the next challenge that might come his way. Back to a 4v4. Yeti going down is a particularly damning blow, though, as he's been carrying an awful lot of weight for this team, along with Grixer. Merc obviously no slouch, too. The teams stand relatively even with just a little bit over a minute to go here in what could be the final round between these two teams.
Look at this. The fact that Sonics still have main control is massive, because that means Achieved is not going to be able to come up through main to late flank on the site. He'll have to rotate all the way back to red and join this team. Much more linear of a take as a result. Geo is your study pressure. He's going to just try and deny study control for the defenders, which makes an aviator push way easier for the rest of the attack.
Well, 40 seconds remaining. Rexon still has not been moved off of the spot on main stairs, sitting on the Goyo shield, waiting very patiently. Kansan now watching as well to see if somebody's going to provoke him from study. That's where Achieved and Geo both are, but they're waiting for some kind of call. Hard destruction being done on the wall, but it looks like it's been stopped. Next set of X-Kairos are going to go out. Will they be stopped? That's the real question. Chala getting the diffuser down. Great shot from Rexon. Super now one as well, and TSM are in a bad place. Achieved 1v4. Is it possible? 10 seconds left? Not at all. A 3K from Rexon. He's online, and the Sonics take round 10.
Parker, we just talked about it. If Rexon shows up, and shows up big, as we expect from him, it'll make all the difference. And, well, that one didn't even look close. TSM set themselves up well, but Rexon knocked them down despite the excellent positioning. It's exactly what you want to see from Rexon. That's the role he plays on this team. Sonics breathe a little bit of life into their gameplay, and they'll go to trophy for their next defense. I gotta say, though, I really liked the execution from TSM. I liked a lot of what I saw there. The double clear on the north side, that's cool. Coming from below and above, that means you're cutting off the rotation. If there are roamers above, that means you're almost guaranteed to get those kills. Sonics just wasn't roaming on that side, so no exposure.
Well, all in all, another strong round from the Sonics on defense. Rexon, obviously in his position, playing well, finally landing his shots, and we'll talk about it a lot. For those of you that are tired of hearing about Rexon, well, you should probably stop watching Sonics matches, because he is easily the best player on the team at the current moment. And one of the best players in all of the NA League. And watching his growth, by the way, as a player has really been something, because I remember when Rexon was, you know, all the way down in Challenger League, and people were touting him as being an up and coming player, along with Merc as well. And it's really nice to see these young talents emerge, especially amidst the rash of older talent that we have seen resign/retire. So if you're a young player playing in Challenger League right now, take your scrims seriously. Don't post stupid things on social media. I mean, or if you want to, I don't really care. I post stupid stuff on social media all the time. But take it seriously, because look at all of the high-flying performers in the NA League this season, and look at how few of them have actually been around for that long, or how many of them haven't been around for that long. And you've got an opportunity to make a mark as well on this league.
Actually, I want to reiterate what Parker said, because I cannot tell you how many times I've heard about a player not getting an opportunity because he is unmarketable due to what he said on Twitter. just if you're not sure, don't take the risk. Grow your social media, grow your stuff, but if you're not sure, don't take the risk.
Exactly. Anywho, we're not here to lecture you, just some friendly advice, because obviously, you see in this particular matchup, you've got some young gunners, and Kansan is somebody who was given an opportunity and he's flourished. Grixer and Rexon have not been around that long. I mean, hell, even Bolo and Merc are still relatively new in comparison to some of the other players that are currently in this scene. So
I think most of... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what would you like to say?
I think most of the people watching, honestly, probably weren't even around before Bolo was. If you think about it. We've had a lot of turnover in the people who watch these types of things. A lot of them probably started after Bolo.
Achieved, by the way, continuing on his trend of running streamer charms. That's Yo Boy Roy's charm that is also available. Just like the R6 share skins, there's a wide variety of streamers who stream regularly, and you can grab their charms by subscribing to their channels on Twitch. Anyway, let's turn towards the action now, because it's been yet another slow round between these two teams. Sonics and TSM now in the position where Sonics have closed this gap quite a lot. At one point, it was 5-1 TSM. They've only been able to pick up a single round from that point onward, but it was a crucial one. It guarantees overtime for TSM. If they go to OT and they win, they still qualify for the major. If the Sonics win an OT, nobody qualifies for the major immediately.
No one locks in their spot. It remains ambiguous, but as we come down to the last few seconds of this round, TSM still has not gotten the pick that they need to initiate this engagement. It might come at the hands of the nade from below, but Merc misses it just barely.
Oh boy, super falls though. Bolo, once again, he's been an absolute nightmare for Sonics, but he gets traded out swiftly by Kansan. He's playing deep inside a trophy, still trying to swing around this, watching one way into astronomy. There's another to his right or to his left that he needs to be a little wary of. That's where Achieved is. He sees a leg, but he can't outduel him. Waiting for a swing all the way down towards Deer. Can't do it. 2 big kills from Merc. It looks like they're falling one by one by one. Grixer in a 1v3. He'll have to stop them. He does just that. Diffuser goes down, and Chala and Achieved will now need to be the ones to take care of it. Nitro Cell goes out from Grixer, does some damage, but Achieved secures TSM's spot at Mexico. They take the matchup 7-4, and the second team to qualify for the major is TSM.
Well played to TSM, second in NA. That's a big win there for them, and locking that away is achieved with a skeleton key right at the end. Good execution there for TSM, though it came very late. One of the things that I find most comedic about the end of that round, or I guess the beginning of the end of that round, was Bolo's entry in through bathroom. He took an opportunity and he said, I am tired of waiting. Lots of trepidation there towards the end. It almost looked like TSM was going to stall out, but Bolo just shoves himself into the problem, and that was Astro. Once Astro's control was established, easy for TSM to cascade that into a round win.
Honestly, what wasn't a particularly close matchup to start off tightened up quite well, and it gave us a show and a thrilling one at that. So far, we've been treated to 2 really close matches so far today, and 2 exciting, thrilling matchups. Obviously, there's a lot on the line here for teams in terms of positioning for this major, and while TSM might have qualified, there's still some more spots remaining, and the 2 teams that are coming up next and both still qualify for North America as well. Dark Zero versus OXG will be our 3rd match of the day. Blue and Stokes will be coming in for that one. But before we get there, we've got a desk ready to break down what happened and a quick commercial break. We'll see you in a couple minutes.